Hello, all you new creations out there. Welcome to day 2. I'm here in the studios, the LevelUp studios. As you can see the background here, LevelUp studios. I'm doing this with my phone actually. So the camera work or the lighting probably isn't going to be the best, but I'm here by myself. It's early and I thought, you know what, I want to get this out to you so everybody will have just a good foundation of what our confession is for day 2. And I'm just excited about this because what we're confessing for this day is I am adopted into the family of God. I am adopted into the family of God. This scripture is Ephesians 1:5. Let me read it. The Father predestined us to be adopted as his sons and daughters. We have been adopted through Jesus Christ. And he continues and says, in accordance with his pleasure and his will. God's pleasure, God's will was to adopt us into his family. Now, the terms that he uses specifically in that time period, and the word adoption is so powerful. Now, we have adoption today, and it is important, and it's a powerful thing to do as well, as far as someone adopting a child into their home, and it becomes part of the family, and that's what adoption is. Now, in the time of the Roman period, as far as when Paul is communicating to the church, he's speaking to them in terms of what they understand in adoption. And it's so important to understand this because it really gives you a greater respect and understanding of what the term adoption means in the family of God. Now, back then, when you're adopted, adoption wasn't done with children. It wasn't where people went around looking to adopt a child. Adoption in their time period was to adopt usually a young man in his teens, 20s. It could be even in his 30s, but it was adopting a young man into the family lineage so that there could be a carrying on with the family name, or to continue with the family business. So what the person would do is they would, if they didn't have any children, and specifically a son, they would go out and adopt a son to continue the line, continue the business, continue the family's name. So this was very big and very important. In that also is we're not talking about a child in the sense of a child has to grow into the inheritance. Though they're part of the family, and the inheritance belongs to them 100%. But to partake of it, to be able to experience it, that's a whole different thing. You have to become older. It's even talked about in Galatians. Let me read Galatians chapter 4, verse 1, I'll start with. Let me explain, and this God's Word translation, it's really good, and it's just going to be quicker for me to get through this. Let me explain further. As long as an heir is a child, a baby, a young kid, as long as the heir is a baby or a young kid. So again, we're not talking about adopting little babies. We're not talking about being a part of the family as a child in the picture of adoption. He says, he is no better off than a slave. In other words, he's the family line. He's part of the family, but in the area of a servant being in the home, the servant can't partake of it, neither can the child. And it says, even though that child that was born in the home, he owns everything. She owns everything. In other words, it's theirs. But they are placed under the control of guardians and trustees until the time set by the father, until that child is older and able to take on the responsibility of the inheritance. This is key. It says in verse 3, it was the same way with us. When we were children, we were slaves to the principles of this world. Now, you're thinking, how did he go there? Well, remember, Paul's talking to people in that time, and he's referencing the Jewish nation. And what he was saying is the Jews were slaves to their law, and that law kept them immature. It didn't place them in a position of maturity. And this is so important to understand. Paul says this, he says, it was the same way with us when we were children. We were slaves to the principles of this world. They pretty much, Jews stayed in nursery school. They didn't grow up. There wasn't maturity because that's what the law does. The law gives them this position of being part of the family, but not being able to receive, not being able to experience what God wanted them in his inheritance. That's why when he continues on in Ephesians verse 4, he says, but when the right time came, God sent his son into the world. A woman gave birth to him. That's pretty powerful because it's giving us these two pictures. God sent his son. That means Jesus already existed and then gave birth to him. That is the picture of the incarnate of Christ, God in the flesh. And it says the woman gave birth to him and he came under the control of God's laws. He's under the control of that time period of the law. God sent him to pay for the freedom. That's the word redeem. God sent Jesus to pay for our freedom. He goes on to say, of those who were controlled by these laws, look at this, so that they can become, so that they would be adopted as his children. He's saying in the place of law, in the place of natural Israel, that wasn't the closest relationship or the connection he was wanting to have. He wanted us to become tied into this family unit, become one with God the Father through Jesus. So powerful understanding of this. So God's saying, I'm adopting you in. Now think about it this way. Adoption is not the new birth. The new birth is you are a part of the family of God. Adoption is talking about your legal position of inheritance. So we're part of, I received Jesus. I've been birthed into the family. I'm birthed. I've been reborn. I'm a new creation. But now he goes, you're adopted in. So I'm not a child waiting to get there. As far as God's concerned, I'm an adult child, and that inheritance belongs to me. I get to receive and claim that inheritance. Those promises of God belong to me. They're mine legally because I've been adopted in. This is so good. So good. Again, a baby can't legally get a hold of this, but an adopted son or daughter, it's ours. It's ours. Come on. You got to get excited about this. So in your confession, you better think about these things. Think about it in a deeper way. See yourself in this position, okay? It goes on to say that we would be adopted in as his children. Then he goes on, because you are God's children, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into us to call out Abba, Father. Abba, Father. That's Aramaic, Abba. Now, Abba doesn't mean daddy. Okay, let me just get that out there right away. What Abba is, what the Ab or Abba in Aramaic language was the first sounds of the child toward the father. So just like my boys call me Papa, but their first sound wasn't Papa, it was pa, 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 pa. It was that sound, their communication, their first steps in the recognition of who I was to them. Father is pater in the Greek, and that is that position of fatherhood, but it's these terms are tied to something very powerful in the sense that it's my Father, mine. It's not yours, my Father. Actually, Abba, slaves and people that were not children of that Father, you couldn't say it. You could not say that to that Father. A person out in the street or an employee couldn't go up to him and say, Abba, Abba. You couldn't do it because that was only for that child that is part of that family DNA that was going to carry on the legacy of that family. Now, why is this important? Because think about this whole thing and what's being said. We're adopted in, but in the understanding, in the definition of it, this is this legal position to where we're like one with God. We're one with God actually through Jesus, but let me back this up. Let me prove it to you just by remember, the Jews wanted to kill Jesus. And it even states in John where they wanted to kill him because he was breaking the Sabbath laws. And then it says this, John 8:15. He was calling God his own Father. Now notice this. They wanted to kill him because Jesus was calling God his Father. Then it goes on to say, making himself equal with God. Making himself equal with God. So their picture was this. Jesus calls God Father. That's making him equal with God. How? What? Because it's the same thing. We're seeing this in the natural principle. My boys, they call me Papa, but they know we're one. We're connected. We're together. We're the same blood. This DNA is the same. Jesus was doing that. Me and God DNA the same. We're equal in that relationship, and the religious people hated it. They hated it. People are going to put the hate on you when you start showing yourself tight with God, your Father, and how you communicate to him as your Father, as you are in relationship with him. How powerful is this? Come on. This day better be the greatest day today that you could ever have, because you are going around thinking about it, meditating about it, speaking out. I've been adopted in. I'm a child of God. I've been adopted. I'm an adopted by Father. My Father adopted me, and it was his will. And what was it? His pleasure. Man, today's awesome. Today's awesome. Let's go. Let's go. Be great today in this area of adoption, okay? Be great today. Let me remind you, exercise, be healthy. Now, I made a little change in my mindset about the 7,000 steps. I'm not giving up. When you look at 7,000 steps, I mean, it's different for everybody. You got people that make smaller steps, larger steps, so distances can change and even time to do it. So what I've determined is I'm looking at between the 2 and 3 mile picture in my mind. I want to accomplish 2 to 3 miles every day. What I like for y'all to do, and just purpose in your heart, at least 5 times a week, get this in, okay? At least 5 times a week. I'm working towards 7, and that's my plan. But exercise is the key. Exercise is mandatory. All right? So don't skip on it. Get on this. Now, we've been talking about walking. That's all we're talking about. Many of you are going to get on a treadmill. Many of you are going to do more than that. But hey, all I'm telling you is let's get this walk going. Let me give you again some information about that. The 7,000 steps, as far as what science has proven, what they've proven through all kinds of trials on this. It improves cardiovascular health. Walking this amount will improve your health. It increases endurance and energy. I need more of that. It helps with weight management. Come on. It's going to get rid of those pounds. We want them gone. It reduces the risk of chronic disease. That's what walking does. It improves bone and joint health. It boosts mood and reduces stress. We all need that. Come on, we all need that. It enhances cognitive function. You want this brain working the best? Walk. You want your mind to be working all the way through old age? Walk, exercise. It supports overall health and longevity. I want to live long, but I want to live healthy. And I know you do too. So let's get going on this walking. And the best thing about walking is this. Everybody can do it. Everybody can do it. No one's exempt. We can all walk, okay? So let's get on this thing. Let's make sure we're exercising. Let's also, food consumption, you've got to cut those carbs. Remember we said working toward staying below 50 grams a day. You got to pay attention to this stuff. Carbs will kill you. That's it. It's just they're opening the door to being overweight, unhealthy, lazy, immune system gets broken down. It's not good. Eliminate sugar, people. Eliminate it. Get it out of it. Make sure you're doing everything you can to keep it away. Oh, man. I was looking for this. It's a type of amino for when I'm working out with weights. And I was looking to purchase something, and what I would do is I want sugar-free. I don't want sugar in it. So I look at these different brands that say sugar-free, no sugar. And I go to them. I'm going to investigate because I know how these companies work, and I know how the government works. So I look at the ingredients, and it says sucralose. Now, if you don't know what that is, I'm going to guarantee you it's worse than sugar. But because of government, you can say no sugar. Why? Because it's a derivative. It's taken from sugar, but chemicals are put in that thing to make it, I think it's like 600 times sweeter than sugar, but it's infused with chemicals and it causes bad things. Now, just by what I've seen, you can look this up. Look up all these sugar derivatives. Sucralose, anything with lose on the back of your ingredient list is not going to be good for you. But it says sugar-free. Man, come on. Don't let them deceive you. It's not good. It's bad for you. It's bad for you. But it literally, it's going to cause 67% more susceptible to type 2 diabetes. Crohn's disease, that's your bowels just being inflamed all the time. This is where your immune system is, down here, by the way. It can't be digested. Your body can't digest it. So this is not good. Pay attention to the labels, people. Come on, new creations. That's who we are. We're not going to live the same way. We're being wiser in how we do things in life. This stuff matters. It matters big time. So, enjoy your day, adopted sons and daughters of God. See it, speak it, believe it, and just have a great, awesome day. You're a new creation. You're adopted into his family. I got this world. Let's do this thing. Love you guys. See ya. Level up today. Level up. See ya. Bye.